What's up guys, Laneface here, and I'm back with another Final Fantasy VII video, but this time I'm not going to be talking about the regular Final Fantasy VII, no. I'm going to be talking about the remake, which is actually the first time I've talked about this on this channel before. You see, E3 is coming up at the time that I've posted this video, which will mark the 3-year anniversary from the time that we saw the trailer for the remake. Now, I remember the first time I saw it, I was completely shocked. I remember watching it and halfway through, I finally realized that it was about Final Fantasy VII, but even then I still didn't believe that it was going to be an actual remake until I saw the words remake flash on the screen. And the reason why I was so shocked is because they've kind of teased us about making a remake in the past, and it's just never happened. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video, is kind of where we are on the remake, how far they've progressed in the last 3 years, kind of just the overall history of this remake. So to start off, I'm going to rewind all the way back to E3 in 2005. That was before the PS3 had even released. Sony wanted to show off how powerful it could be, so it did so by doing a Final Fantasy VII intro on the PS3. So this sparked tons of hype and everyone started speculating that a remake was in the works. What few people actually realized, including myself, that they actually did announce that there was going to be a remake back in 2006. It was actually originally supposed to be released with the PS2, and they were also going to remake Final Fantasy VIII and IX. This here is the only announcement they made about it, which is why hardly anyone knew. And then nothing ever happened. It was just, they just didn't do anything with it. So as the years went by, my hope for a remake dwindled. I remember reading an article in a gaming magazine years ago, I don't remember which one, but basically the question got brought up to a member of Square Enix: would a remake ever happen? The response was along the lines of probably not, because they would want to have key members from the original team working on the game, some of which were working on various projects, and there was others that didn't even work for Square anymore. So basically the stars would have to align perfectly for something like this to realistically happen. I think myself and fans alike thought that if this was ever going to happen, it would have happened like 10 years ago. But here I am staring at this computer screen with Final Fantasy VII Remake staring back at me. I wanted to make a response video about this right away, but then I figured I'd wait a little bit until some more information came out. Well, besides a few nuggets here and there, I really didn't hear much. Now fast forward 3 years and here we are, and there still hasn't been a whole lot of information that's surfaced. So to start, let's address the lead director of this massive project. His name is Tetsuya Nomura, who was the character designer for the original game. He also came up with the idea for limit break attacks, as well as coming up with key plot elements like Aerith's death. He was also the director for Advent Children. So this guy is one of the OGs of Final Fantasy VII, which is the type of guy you want directing a game like this. Except there's a couple of issues. For starters, Nomura didn't even realize he was the director until one day his name shows up on an internal presentation and it has him listed as the director. Not to mention he's already a director for another huge game that feels like it's been in development purgatory, Kingdom Hearts 3. This decision was made by the director of the original Final Fantasy VII, the now producer of the remake, Yoshinori Kitase. In case you aren't familiar with Kingdom Hearts 3, the initial development for that game started back in 2006. So yeah. Anyways, despite this, production started for the remake back in 2014, and we received news back in December of 2015 that Square was going to be getting some help from a company called CyberConnect 2. They had already done games like the Naruto fighting games as well as Dot Hack, and not to mention, they had already worked with Square on the Final Fantasy VII G-Bike game. Square also mentioned that they'd be using the Unreal 4 engine due in part by the fact that they are familiar with it, being as it's the same engine used in Kingdom Hearts 3. They also announced that the game would be episodic, with each episode containing a full game's worth of content. So how many parts will there be? Well, nobody's really sure, including Square. Kitase said that they have an idea of how many episodes they want, but as development furthers, they may need to change things from their original vision. Another big change for the original game is that they are moving away from the classic turn-based fighting style and going with a more action-based fighting style similar to Final Fantasy XV. At least that's what we believe so far. There will also be some unique fighting elements besides the limit break that we're used to, and you'll also be able to switch among your characters in real time. So for example, say you're fighting as Cloud and you come across a bird or something flying, something that Cloud can't reach, you can switch over to Barret and then have him shoot it instead. Also, instead of random encounters, the enemies will be seen moving around the area that you're in, and you'll have the option to either fight them head on, try and sneak up behind them, or avoid them altogether. Going by these screenshots, you can see the command bar looks very similar to the original game, with magic, summons, and items as options that you can choose. But how these will be implemented is still a complete mystery. Now we need to fast forward to May of 2017. This is where Square decided to fire CyberConnect 2 because they didn't like the direction the game was going. Square is now hiring core members for the production of this game as we speak on their website. And then in a recent interview with game director Tetsuya Nomura, he said the Final Fantasy VII Remake is actually ahead of Kingdom Hearts 3 in some respects, reportedly in the cinematics, but would not go into any further detail. That's pretty much where we're at right now, and there's no news yet on if we'll hear anything at E3 this year. So how should you feel about this? Honestly, it's really hard to say. I mean, the fact that the lead director of this project didn't even know he was the director throughout pre-development is pretty ridiculous. Also, despite the fact that Square said that they had a close eye on the CyberConnect 2 production team, it still took them 2 years to realize that they didn't like the direction that they were taking the game, to fire them and to start rehiring for the project. Now, I already assumed that they weren't going to have the original turn-based fighting system. Every RPG that I've seen lately, which granted isn't a whole lot, is more of an action-based style than the turn-based. Now that's not to say that they may not put a mode in where you can do a turn-based system, but who knows? Really, the fighting system right now is a complete mystery because the only thing that we've seen on it is the production that CyberConnect 2 made, so we don't know if Square is going to be scrapping that or if that's something that they're going to keep. We really don't know. Now, as for the game being episodic, I am actually okay with this. The last episodic game I played was Hitman. If you haven't played Hitman or if you aren't familiar with it, basically each mission you need to assassinate somebody. In this game, sometimes you have one target, sometimes you have multiple targets, and you have free reign to complete this mission however you want. But you get the higher score if you do it without being detected. And you can have the kills look like an accident, or you can just have nobody see the kill at all. It's really up to you. You have a lot of freedom in the game. So the first mission would come out, I'd go through, beat it, but not do great. I might get spotted a few times, the execution of the hit was sloppy, so I'd go back and try again. Basically, I end up doing the mission 5 to 10 times depending on the mission until I do it flawlessly. Then sometimes I'll go back and I'll kill the target a different way, maybe with a different weapon, or maybe this time I'll make it look like an accident. This is something I probably wouldn't have done had the whole game came out at once, because I just want to move on to the next mission. So what I'm getting at is, with this remake being episodic, it will give us a chance to go through that part of the game with a fine comb and get everything out of it. Not to mention, each episode is supposed to be a full game's worth of content, which would mean Square could go into more depth on characters and their stories. Take Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse for instance. When did they join Avalanche? Why did they join? What specific reasons made them think this was the best way to go about fixing their problems? Maybe we can actually see when Tifa found Cloud at the train station and brought him into Avalanche. There's a lot of extra details and gameplay we could be getting that could make the story that much better. Now the question is, when will we see this game? Given Square's recent track record, Final Fantasy XV took 10 years to complete. Kingdom Hearts, if it does in fact release this year, will have taken almost 12 years to complete. So quite honestly, it wouldn't surprise me at all if we didn't see the first episode of this game coming out until 2023, making it 9 years for just the first episode to be complete. Now, while I believe once Kingdom Hearts releases, Nomura will put more time and energy into the remake, what I think a lot of people are forgetting is that the PS5 is rumored to be released within the next 2 years. From what I've seen in the past, when games are taking a long time to develop on the current platform and a new one releases, it adds another year or two to the project, unless they're adamant about it only releasing for that current system. and I highly doubt they're only going to release this for the PS4 and Xbox One. Hopefully there's one positive that we can take from this delay. In the past, when Square shows something off Final Fantasy VII related, like the 2005 E3 demo, Square always seems shocked at how hyped people get regarding that game, like somehow they didn't realize how much people love that game. Well, now I believe that they understand how much this game means to people and that they cannot screw up this project, at least because they rushed to finish it. I would rather wait another 10 years for this to come out than to have it come out in 2 years and be incomplete or just an overall trash game. I think most people feel the same way. But anyways, that's all the news and thoughts that I have right now on the status of the remake. And before I end this, I just wanted to say, at the end of my last video I made, while I was editing, I received an email from YouTube saying they were changing their policies on monetization of videos. So now you have to have at least 1,000 subscribers and a certain amount of time viewed on your videos. At the time I uploaded that video, I had roughly 440 subscribers, and I asked if you liked my content to subscribe. Honestly, I thought I might get an extra 50 subs at best. Well, now I have over 3,500 subscribers and I still can't believe it. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who subscribed or liked any of my videos. You guys are amazing. I really did not expect that. If any other big news drops about the remake, I'll try to let you all know as soon as I can. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.